And honestly, like if you look at it, I do think there are two sides to the story. There's a reason that Liv has so much hate and disdain for Rhea. If I had to pick, I guess, Rhea has actually been kind of like when she was with the Judgment Day, she was pretty awful to me.
It's about to get Gabby AF.
We about to get Gabby AF, Gabby AF. We about to get Gabby AF, Gabby AF.
Okay, everybody, welcome to another episode of Gabby AF. I am super excited to have my guest on today. She has a crazy packed schedule, so it's been probably insanely hard to get her on because she's doing a million things, but I had to get her on. I was super excited about it. Everyone, please welcome Jackie Redmond to Gabby AF. Hi, Jackie.
Yeah, hi, how are you? I'm so glad that we worked this out because I have so much guilt about my schedule, and you and I have been talking for a while about setting this up, and it was like, okay, we'll do it here. And then I'm like, never mind, just kidding.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Can we do this? We have probably set this up, I gotta say, at least 8 or 9 different times. So I'm glad it finally worked out.
I'm so excited. I met you at SummerSlam, and you were genuinely one of the sweetest human beings I've ever met, especially in this business. Sometimes, you meet people after a show or before a show and they're kind of just like, don't want to talk to anybody, but you were so kind. And I was like, I need to get you on my show. Like, do you do podcasts? Like, can you come on my podcast and talk to me about fun things? And you were like, sure. So since SummerSlam, I've been trying to, get you down. So I'm so excited that you're finally here.
Yeah, it was great to meet you. SummerSlam was such a fun weekend. Like I kind of love the post-show hangouts and debriefs and meeting everyone. Like that's part of the fun for me. Like I enjoy that a lot. So I remembered you when you reached out and you're like, I don't know if you remember. I was like, oh, I remember sipping on my wine, talking to you at the hotel.
Well, that's the thing too, is like everyone's kind of like, oh, I'll be nice to this person, like whatever. And then you reach out and they're like, oh, I really did not want to go on with that person. I was just being nice to like be nice, but you were genuinely so kind. So I am happy you remembered me. But how are you? How's everything going? You are killing it with obviously Raw and hockey. You got a lot going on. So let's start with just how are you feeling? How's everything going? How are you today?
I am really good. I actually have this week off. I have learned over the course of my career to like take care of my mental health and know, like, I can tell now when burnout is coming.
Yeah.
And so I strategically plan kind of when I'm going to take a day here, a day there. So I wasn't on Raw this week. For that reason, I knew coming off of Saudi Arabia, I would be fried, and I did a hockey game right afterwards. So I'm glad I took the time. So I'm really good right now. I have slept in my own bed like 5 nights in a row, which is outrageous for me. And I've got my first ever pickleball tournament coming up this weekend. Here we go. So I'm a bit nervous no, I'm not nervous. I'm excited about that because it's going to be a fun experience. I mean, I'm competitive. I want to win. But that's kind of like my focus right now is like, okay, let's get ready for this pickleball tournament. Oh, and I'm going to see Taylor Swift tomorrow.
Yes. Yes. Which you actually told me that's why we couldn't do tomorrow, because you were like, no, bitch, like Taylor Swift is a little bit more important than you. Understandably so.
She's more important than all of us. Like, let's be real.
It's actually, are you do you watch football? Are you like a Chiefs fan because of Taylor Swift? Are you one of those or not?
No, I'm not. Like, listen, I think she's amazing. I've followed her since the beginning, since she was just like a 19-year-old country star.
Yeah.
But I am not someone that like makes life decisions based on my favorite musicians. So I'm not a Chiefs fan. I do follow football a little bit. I used to be, when my schedule wasn't as crazy as it is now, I used to be a lot more hardcore. I used to like play fantasy football. I'm a Bears fan at heart, which I'm not, proud of. That's kind of a long story how that happened, but basically first ever NFL game I ever went to was Bears Vikings. It went to overtime. The Bears won. It was December 28th. It's the coldest I've ever been in Chicago. I drank whiskey, which I never drank. It was a whole thing. But that's how I became a Bears fan way back in the day. So technically that's my team.
Well, I kind of love that. I'm a Packers fan, so I'm not like the person who's like, oh, I'm in New York, New Jersey, so I'm Giants or Jets, even though they're terrible this year. So I totally get that. We're gonna have to talk pickleball, because the fact that you are this pickleball person, and Hoboken pickleball is like almost like a religion here now. It is insane. Like there's leagues, people get up, like I see people, I walk around, like I walk everywhere around here, and like I'll walk the dogs and like whatever, and people are practicing pickleball for like hours. My friend's like, oh, we have to practice because we have a tournament. Like all over Hoboken. Pickleball is becoming like the thing to do. So when I
Yeah.
saw you tweet about pickleball in Philly, because you were like, I just want to play, I was like, we have to talk about this because it's insane. Like it's taking over the world, pickleball, I feel
It
like.
is like they say it's the fastest growing sport in North America. And I don't even need to read the papers. Like I know that that's true just based on looking around and seeing how much it's even grown here. I've only been playing for like maybe 5 months, 6 months.
Right.
And in that amount of time, I've noticed just where I play in Nova Scotia, the amount of people that are coming out
It's
now
crazy.
compared to 6 months ago. And a lot of like younger people are coming out and playing now. Whereas when I first started, I felt it was definitely an older crowd.
Yeah.
Which people that don't play pickleball love to make that joke, like, oh, you're playing with the retired folk. I'm like, listen, a 65-year-old woman will humble you real quick on a pickleball court. Okay. Like
They're
it is
so
no joke.
good. There was like that
There's,
episode of The Golden Bachelor where they were playing pickleball, and I was like, why are these women so good at pickleball? And they're like in their
because they
60s.
play every day.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
insane. Are you
Yeah.
good?
So I would not classify myself as good. I definitely would say that I'm past the beginner stage. Like I would put myself at an intermediate level. My husband is much better than me. He's been playing longer and has a little bit more time to play. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm good yet, but I am obsessed with getting good. Like I literally did 40 minutes of pickleball drills with my husband this morning, just drills, no games. But that's
Amazing.
what
That's
makes this
amazing.
tournament like a little scary for me is that so I don't know like how in the weeds you are with pickleball, but like I'm on Duper, I'm rated like all
Okay.
of that stuff. I'm rated based off of like 10 games, but still. I'm like a 3-5 technically
Okay.
on Duper,
Okay.
which is for people listening that don't know anything about it. That's like maybe like one level above like beginner. Like it's like intermediate, I would say.
Yeah.
If you're a 4.0 or higher, you're pretty good at pickleball. And if you're a 5.0, you're considered pro. So anyways, the tournament that I'm in, I signed up for 3.5, but they're letting girls play in it that are like over 4.0. So it's gonna be a challenge, but we'll see how it goes.
If you had one person on the WWE roster to be your partner for pickleball, because like say your husband, who would it be? Because I want to know who you think would be good at it.
So I have to say Nia Jax here. And I know
Okay.
that she tries to convince everyone that she hates me. Like she doesn't. She actually loves me. It's like a weird relationship where legitimately in the locker room we see each other. She's always making fun of me and like being mean, but I know
Oh,
that she loves me. I'm like that little like kid sister to her, I think, that like won't go away and is super annoying, but I won't give up on our friendship. And I know that she plays pickleball. We've talked about that, and I am begging her to hit a pickleball court with me so that we can play. We're hoping maybe we can do it in Vancouver. And if we do, I will, of course, film some of it. But
you have to.
yeah, that would be my partner of choice because I know she's strong. I know she's
Hmm.
power. I don't know. I don't have to even see her play to know that she would be an intimidating force on a pickleball court just by being Nia Jax. So I would go with her.
Oh my God. I actually would love to see that. I don't know what your guys' tag team pickleball name would be, but I feel like it would be something pretty epic. Because also in person, you're very short, which
Yes.
I noticed because I'm almost like I'm like 5'8.5". So
Yeah.
when I meet people that like you see on TV and like and you're like, wow, in person, like
I
I
know.
get it now. So like that would be the balance between you and I would be hilarious because she's so tall, like
She would bring the power and I would
yes.
bring like I play a good like soft game in
Yeah.
pickleball. Like I'm like a dinker and a dropper and she could be like the banger, you
The
know?
intimidation. You could bring the
Yeah,
intimidation though. I
yeah.
feel like you're a little fierce.
Oh, I'm stupid. I'm actually like illogically competitive. Like even this morning, I'm not even making this up right now. My husband and I were drilling and I was getting so frustrated, like so legitimately upset. And he was like, we're just drilling. Like, are you like,
Relax.
he goes, you do know that pro players hit the ball into the net as well, right?
Oh
Like, you
my
do know
God.
there will never be
Yeah.
a time where that never happens to you. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do
That's
you mean
so
I'll
funny.
never be perfect? Yeah,
Did,
I'm crazy.
did you play sports growing up? Like, is that where the competitiveness comes from? And like even just the
Yeah.
getting into sports media? So what did you play? And then we'll talk about how you kind of got into
Okay,
your
so
jobs
I
now.
my parents signed me up for almost everything. So if there's this like a popular sport, I've probably played it. But my specialties growing up were hockey and baseball. Those were my two favorites.
I
Those were
love
the
it.
ones I liked to play the most. They were the ones I was the best at. But I did gymnastics, I did figure skating, I did basketball. I did a little bit of soccer. Wasn't very good at that. But yeah, I kind of was. Me and my sister did everything. We did everything.
I love that so much. I love that you played hockey and baseball because they're predominantly like male
Yeah.
favored sports. And you're like, nah, I kind of did those, but
Yeah.
so it makes
No big deal.
so were you a wrestling fan growing up at all?
Yes. So
Okay.
I had a phase when I was a kid where I mean, it's when most people in my age bracket
Yes.
loved wrestling. It's when The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, the Hardy Boys, Lita, like all of those people were kind of in their prime / peak. So I had like a 3-4 year span where I was obsessed. Now my mom didn't really want us watching WWE back then because
Yeah.
it was the Attitude Era. It was kind of like anything goes. I mean, like Trish Stratus was like being called a skank on television.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
and my mom is like, I don't know if I want you watching that. But so me and my sister would like sneak into our basement at night to try to catch the end of Monday Night Raw because it was past our bedtime. And we just wanted to know if The Rock was going to win in the main event or not. So we would sneak downstairs and try to watch it on this like 13-inch
Oh my
TV,
God.
like this tiny little TV in my parents' office. It's like this little, like my computer screen, honestly, might be bigger than that TV was. And we'd go down there and put it on and try to watch it and not get caught and not get in trouble. But I was so obsessed with wrestling. I signed up for the wrestling team in the 8th grade. Like I was legit, I was
that.
so pumped and so obsessed with it. I didn't realize though that when I showed up for the first like practice for wrestling that I wasn't going to step in a ring. I was just going to be on a mat. I was like, oh, this is different.
Oh my
This is
God.
not like WWE.
Yeah.
I was like so young and naive. I had no idea that there was like a different type of wrestling.
Right. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because even when I tell people like what I do, they're like, oh, is it like college wrestling or are you talking like pro wrestling? And then I have to like differentiate because if you're in school, it's not gonna be like, oh, you're getting in the ring and like cutting promos. Like, no, you're on the mat rolling around. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
that's really, really funny. Something that was interesting that we chatted about a little bit at SummerSlam was like kind of how you transitioned into your role. So clearly you played hockey, you love hockey, and that's kind of your bread and butter. Hockey season's flaring up right now. That's why you are as busy as you are. By the way, huge Rangers fan. I am.
Oh, okay.
Huge Rangers fan.
Listen,
So
you can't sleep on the Rangers when they got Prince Igor, you know?
you just don't sleep on them ever. Like, and just, it's the best. Just going to like, I went to my first game at MSG last year and it was just the greatest.
That is an amazing arena.
Oh, it's just the best. I've been to Devils games at Prudential. It's not the same. And sorry, I'm from New Jersey and I love the Rangers. It just doesn't matter. It's a different aura. And I'm sure you know, but,
it is, yes.
so we talked a little bit about Renee Paquette, who was someone that I mentioned to you was someone like, was kind of like my end goal of like who I look up to in this business with things that I want to do. And like, you were like, yeah, Renee has been very fundamental in my career. So talk a little bit about how much she's meant to you and kind of, paved the way for you now.
Yeah. First off, she is such an amazing person. Like you started this off with pumping my tires about like being genuine and stuff. Like Renee is that way. Like Renee is somebody that is such a great teammate, she's been a great mentor to me. Like, even though time will go where we don't talk for a while, anytime that I reach out to her and need something or vice versa, like she's always been there and always been really cool about that. So I have all the time in the world for Renee, but we go back so far. Like Renee and I met before she was ever even at WWE because she started in sports at the same network that I did. And I did a reality show in Canada at the time that was called Gillette Drafted the Search for Canada's Next Sportscaster. Picture like American Idol, but for sports broadcasting. Wow. That's what it was. There was 3 judges. You had challenges. Someone would get eliminated. The line was like, you will not be drafted. Like it was a whole thing. And Renee was on that panel of judges. Like she was working there. She had already started establishing herself as a sports personality in Toronto and in Canada. And so I won the show. It's not a big deal. But season 3, the only girl to ever win it.
Wow.
And so Renee though was on that judging panel. So like she had a hand quite literally in deciding if I was going to win this show and be given a job at this network. So, that alone, I feel like indebted to her in a lot of ways for like the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But even after that, you know, she was always so amazing with advice, even when she left and you know, conquered the WWE world.
Right.
Anytime I reached out, she was amazing. Like if I was covering a SummerSlam and wanted to interview her, she made sure it happened. If I wanted to just have sushi with her, she would, despite being so insanely busy and popular
Right.
and all of that, she would do that stuff. So she's amazing. She's been so instrumental for me. And then outside of all of that, even if she had never done anything for me and was horrible to me, I would still respect the shit out of her because she, in a lot of ways, is what when I started out, aspired to be. I think Katie Nolan had a lot of this as well, which is, you know, she was a woman in a male dominated space that wasn't afraid to just be who she is and make jokes, laugh at jokes, not be serious, have an opinion, have some personality. Like she really wasn't afraid to live outside of the box. And for me, and I'm sure you understand this as well, because I think we're probably in a ballpark of around like the same generation of when I was growing up, women in sports did like one of two things. They were sideline reporters or they were studio hosts. But even within those roles, it was very like, you stick to this, you say what you have to do, you deliver the news, you're serious, you don't break, like you're conservative, you're all of these things. And I think we've come a long way where now we can be a little bit more than just a host or just a reporter. We can actually have a personality and contribute to a conversation in a more meaningful way than, you know, here's what happened in the first period. What do you think? You know, like we can contribute a little bit more. And I think it's people like Renee and Katie Nolan, like I said, I mean, Michelle Beadle, like all these people that did that are the people that I've always really admired. And Renee is certainly at the top of that list as a Canadian. And I'll never forget, like, I can't remember the exact wording, but I remember early on she told me like, you know what, like people are going to think what they think anyway. So fuck them. Do you, like, do it your way, you know? And so I've always had a lot of admiration and respect for her and still do to this day.
Yeah. I mean, she's absolutely crushing it in everything that she does. She's conquered kind of any element of sports that she's been a part of, and she's like nowhere near to stopping. But
no, she's a beast.
She's insane. And she looks amazing doing it. And she's a mom and she's a wife. Like she is such a good role model. I feel like two girls in this wrestling business, if that's what they aspire to do, because she can really do it all. But I do think, Jackie, and I'm not just saying this because I'm interviewing you, I think you kind of are on the path to, you know, kind of being that woman for a lot of girls as well in what you're doing, because I mean you haven't been with the WWE that long, really. If
no.
like, has it even, how long has it been exactly? Like
backstage or with the company?
With the, well, we'll say with the company, but yeah, I guess backstage when you
So
made your Raw debut.
I am in my 4th year with the company, but I only made my Monday Night Raw debut last July. So I just had my 1 year on Raw in July. Yeah. So it has gone by so fast.
Yeah.
1 year feels like I still feel new. But it's really only been like a little over a year. So it's kind of crazy.
It's literally insane because I feel like you just like mesh in so well. And like, I feel like it's finally come to a point where your personality on screen is really shining through with a lot of the talent. And even on social media, because you do kind of get into it on social media sometimes with some people, which I think is hilarious. Recently, you know, the little bit of tiff between you and Kathy Kelly when it came to the Liv Rhea situation, because I mean, what your team Liv, I'm guessing you did that great interview and you got a lot of flack for it, which I didn't really understand. You were just doing your job.
Yeah. You know, Rhea Ripley's a really popular superstar for good reason. She's accomplished so much. She's done an insane amount in the short time that she's been with WWE. But, you know, the thing with Liv is, and, you know, I understand that her tactics are questionable and she's not always the kindest or most graceful winner, let's say. You know, when I have a job to do, she has treated me pretty respectfully and kind of given me some open answers and been honest with me. And so my kind of take all the time as a journalist, and I do this in hockey too. It's like, all I ever want is like honesty and vulnerability and openness. And even if that openness is you maybe not being very kind to someone else, or maybe not having the best personality traits, I'm never gonna shit on that, because that's what I want. I want the truth. So like if Liv feels like she's the one that's been wronged here, how can I be angry at her for feeling that way? That's how she feels. And honestly, like if you look at it, I do think there are two sides to the story. So that's what I was trying to accomplish with that original sit down interview, was like, listen, there's a reason that Liv has so much hate and disdain for Rhea. That comes from somewhere. It just doesn't come out of thin air. She didn't just make it up. Like there's a history there.
Yeah.
So as a journalist, I'm like, we have to tell that story. We have to get that out there. That's a part of all of this. Everyone is always accountable, whether they're in the right or the wrong. We're all accountable, right? So that's how I look at that. And then as for the Kathy thing, Kathy and Rhea have their own thing going, and I respect it. I think it's great. I support it. But I am very much like, if you're gonna come for me, I'm gonna come back. So me and Kathy had a little Twitter beef, but we've ironed it out. We're good. We sat on the plane together to Saudi. We hashed it out.
It's a long flight to sit together if you weren't getting along.
We hashed it out, and we decided, like, listen, this is between Rhea and Liv. It doesn't have to be between you and I. But yeah, we definitely have our sides of the rivalry. And if I had to pick, I guess, Rhea has actually been kind of like, when she was with the Judgment Day, she was pretty awful to me. So I gotta say, I am team Liv. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Rhea was really mean to me. She used to say, get out of here, go get Kathy, which I understand, but like, it was mean.
It's not nice. It's not nice. It's not professional. Not nice. You know what I mean?
Liv's never done that to me. Liv's never done that to me. So
Jackie, I'm
going to say it right now on the record, team Liv. I am team Liv. I don't care.
Oh, listen, I don't hate it. And I think honestly, Jackie, you are a Jersey girl at heart, because you know where Liv is from. She's from my streets of New Jersey. So honestly, I don't hate it. And Liv, you are welcome. I've never had Rhea on the show. You know what, Liv, you're welcome on my show whenever you want, because we're team Liv on, I guess, Gabby AF now.
I think so. I think we just decided. And like, I lived in Jersey for a while, so there's like a connection there as well.
Which blows my mind.
I got a little bit of Jersey girl in me, a little bit. You can't live there 7 years and not get a little Jersey in you.
7 years, man, in New Jersey. You lived 2 years in Hoboken, which is where I live right now, which blows my mind. Wait, do you remember like your favorite pizza in Hoboken? Like, where were your spots? Because I need to know. Because this will tell me everything I need to know about you, honestly.
So I'm about to out myself as a complete psycho.
Your accent just hit so hard, by the way. That Canadian accent just hit so hard.
Anytime I say out, there it is. I used to do a quick pitch, which is like a highlight show in baseball. And my Twitter would just be filled with people being like, oh, the Canadians doing quick pitch tonight. Can't wait to count how many times she says out like a Canadian. But yeah, I lived there 2 years. And when I first moved there, it was the first time I had a show that was actually mine, and it was hockey. I wasn't filling in. It wasn't like a rotate. It was like my show. And so I moved to Hoboken, and I was like, I'm not dating. I'm not having a social life. I am like 100% all in on this thing. And that is legitimately, it's kind of sad, but also it's why I think I've accomplished some of the things I have in hockey. I was like head down. I came home every day from work. I did nothing but watch hockey, read articles about hockey, formulate opinions, write stuff for the next day, go to work the next day and do it. EJ Raddick, my co-host at the time, he can attest to that. Like, I really had no life. I don't think I went on a date for over a year when I first moved to Hoboken. Like, I did not go out a lot. But I did go to, so I lived downtown. I didn't know the difference between uptown and downtown Hoboken. And I ended up in a pretty, I'm not going to say rough area. I'm just going to say like lively, loud, like drunk college kids area.
That's downtown. That's very much downtown.
It was like downtown. Like, I lived right off of Washington Street. Like, I was in the heart of it.
So close to where I live right now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But
And there was a place there. I don't remember what it was called, but they did kind of like these, this is not pizza, but they did like these like stir fry, it was like honey something it was called. I forget what it was
Honey
called.
Grow.
Honey Grow. That's where I used to go.
Still there.
The
Honey Grow's still there.
The
they do the noodles and the salads. It's actually really, really good. That's right off Washington. Yeah, that's right on Washington, Honey Grow.
Yeah.
You know, they sell, this is not great podcasting, but they sell, because I'm making side notes about things. that don't make any sense or people don't care about. But they sell the noodles and the sauce of honey grow now like separately at stores, so you can like make it yourself and you don't have to go to the store and make it. Yeah. Well, if you ever come to Hoboken, that's where we'll go. But
there.
I'll take you to some good pizza too, because I'm sure the
I would
pizza
love
in
that.
Canada is not great.
Okay. No, it's
Right?
not. I'm not even going to fight on that because I mean, there's no such thing as bad pizza in my opinion, but you're not getting authentic pizza anywhere in Canada, really. Maybe in Toronto, there might be a couple good spots. But no.
That's like my dream place to go. Well, not dream, because I mean, it's Canada, but like one of my bucket list places is I have to go to Canada because I want to go to a hockey game in Canada.
Oh, yeah, you have to go in Montreal. Even though I'm a fan, I want to say Toronto, but the atmosphere there is not the same. I would go to a game in Montreal if you can.
Well,
or
I'm calling you if I go.
Winnipeg is good too. Winnipeg is good too.
Well, I'm going wherever you tell me to go, because I'm going to call you. If I'm going to Canada and I don't reach out to like the people I know, the Canadians that I'm friends with, they're going to be like, what are you doing? You don't know anything.
Yeah,
it's too many options. But you mentioned Kathy. I'm glad you guys mended,
we did.
whatever. You guys worked together.
Water under the bridge.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah.
Someone else that you kind of just posted about, someone who's just left that you were close with, is Samantha Irvin. And we saw that, she left as well. I thought insanely talented. The girl is a star. You did mention how close you were and that you hope great things for her. So kind of sad to see her go, but I'm sure she's going to literally do well in whatever she does next. And I'm excited to see that for her.
Yeah, the thing about Sam that I think people need to realize, because I know since she left, there's been a lot of fodder online, is that Sam right now is following her heart. And I don't understand how anyone could ever hate on someone for that. Like, she's following what she's genuinely, her heart and soul is passionate about, and that's singing and that's music. And the reason she was able to be so legendary as an announcer is because she understands how to emote with her voice, and she understands how to make her voice powerful. She knows all the ways to use it and to use it with conviction and to convey certain things, even though all you're doing is saying a name, which is crazy to think about. So her talent, I mean, she's undeniable. She's absolutely undeniable. And then as a person, she's amazing. She, it's a big world, right? Like I have hockey and I have, accomplished some things outside of WWE, but when you go in there, it's its own universe. It's its own world, and everyone is so larger than life and confident and, big personalities, and nobody seems really that shy. And I am very much a shy person when I come into a room where I don't know anybody and there's a lot of people. Like, I am definitely an introvert in that way. My personality comes out more once I'm comfortable. That's kind of the way that I am, but I can be very intimidated. And when I joined Raw backstage, I was really quiet. I was really shy and awkward. I'm sure people will tell you that I would confirm that. And everyone was great. Everyone was playing. No one was like mean to me, but it's, people are in their own world. They're doing their own thing. They're getting ready for their match. They're figuring out their own stuff. And you can feel a little bit alone at first when you don't have anyone, you don't have any relationships built. And Sam is someone that, on day one, came up to me and, made an effort to make sure that I was comfortable. And if I needed anything, her and Ricochet would drive me back to the hotel after the show, and, just like little things that go a long way. And, I think that just speaks to her heart. I think she knew that I was, just didn't know anybody, and I didn't know how to sort of like break that ice with a lot of people outside of doing the actual work. And so I think she saw that I kind of was having a bit of like a hard time with it. And and I almost said her husband, her soon to be husband, we're really, really great to me that way, so that's why I have so much love for Sam. I mean, outside of the talent and everything else, is just like, she really, was somebody, she was like a safety blanket for me in the very beginning, which I know is only a year ago, but it really helped me with the transition. So I love her so much, and I know she's going to do amazing things, and I'm happy that she's following her heart, because that's what we all should do. None of us should do anything outside of, what we actually are passionate about.
Right. And honestly, even from her post, like I'm sure that was one of the hardest decisions she's ever made because
100%.
and like people are like, oh yeah, she's gotten like trolls on social media. Like I just, it's hard sometimes to, I feel bad for people, especially you guys where you're under a microscope or
Yeah.
everything you do gets kind of judged on social media because she's still so young and has so much ahead of her that if she wants to take a risk, like she can.
Yeah.
And every single person I've spoken to has said amazing things about her, not only in what she does, but as a person. So it was like a family for her. So for her to say goodbye and follow her dreams was probably one of the hardest decisions she's ever made. And people think
Yeah.
like, oh, it was just made in like 2 seconds. Like people need to give people some, space
Give her
in
some
their
grace.
lives. Yes.
Yeah. And I think too, and this is more, I think says more about WWE fans, right? And what makes the WWE so great is that the fans are so dedicated. They're
Yes.
so loyal. They're so passionate. And I think some fans took it personally when Sam left. That's how loved she was. It's like fans felt like they took it to heart. And, Sam, I think probably what made it the most hard to leave outside of her relationships with people in the company is that she loves the fans so much. Like, and that's why I kind of want to like dukes up for her online because it's like she actually cares about the fans so much. If there's anything that she wants is to make fans happy and take as many pictures as she can and sign as many autographs as she can. And every single week we would drive out of the venue and people are waiting there. And like a lot of people just drive out. They just drive out. Sam window down every time, waving, saying hi to people. Like she really, really cares about the fans. And so her decision to leave, it's not about the fans. It's not about not loving WWE. It's just about her fulfilling her fulfilling her creative drive and desire. And so I think people need to separate those two things because they're different.
Yes, and separate the fact that she's dating somebody in a different company as well, because I'm sure he's supporting her no matter what she wanted to do. And he's come out and said that before, and they seem insanely happy. So let's stop putting like when they tweeted out like it was all his fault and he was like responding.
They just
on
need
Twitter,
someone to take their emotions out on because they're so heartbroken she's gone.
Yeah,
that's
and
all
he was
it is.
don't
It's all
blame me.
projection. It's all projection. That's all it is. Everyone's devastated that she's gone, and they need to direct that emotion somewhere, and they don't know where to.
He got the strays. He got hit by the strays. Ricochet.
He did. Stray bullets everywhere.
But they always blame the dude. That's always kind of what happens. It's always the guy's fault. You know what I mean? But you mentioned the WWE fan base, which honestly, I've only been now in the business 6 years. I didn't even watch pro wrestling when I grew up either. So I was big, soccer was my sport. So soccer was always what I wanted to do. So you had hockey and like soccer was like my thing. So when I fell into it, I was like, wow, this fan base is wild. I've never seen such dedicated fans, and they pass it along to their children and their children's children. And it's like, it was something I never saw before. Now you are used to a hockey fan base as well. Are there big differences you would say from like the NHL fan base to the WWE, or do you think the passion's the same, or are some rowdier than others?
The size of the fan bases is different for sure because WWE is so global.
Right.
But hockey, I do think there are similarities in the sense that I think that, especially in the United States, I mean, hockey is religion in Canada, right? That goes without saying. But in the States, hockey, there's no casual hockey fans. People are either into hockey or they're not. But the people that love hockey in the US, they are die hard, ride or die hockey fans for their team. They're obsessed. And I think there's an element of that with WWE too, right? Like most people are not just like half in on wrestling. They're either all the way or not at all. And so I feel like the two sports share that in that their fan bases are incredibly loyal and devoted and hardcore. And then the other thing, I want to see more of this, and you see this in soccer a lot. This is a better parallel for soccer and wrestling, but just chants. Like I love that wrestling fans are so invested in the show and they're so active while they're watching the show. And hockey is starting to get a little bit more of that. I would love to see it grow even more and see more chants. But yeah, we'll see.
It's funny because when you go to MSG, the chants are wild for the Rangers. Just saying, it's kind of
certain places have chants and others don't. But I want more.
Listen, I do think the emotion in pro wrestling is something that stands on its own almost compared to any sport, because
Yeah, 100%.
so many other sports are kind of more black and white, and you just have the investment, the emotional investment comes with pro wrestling. So it's interesting. But there is emotion, I think, in the NHL as well. And something I have to commend you on that I watched, and I literally was like, wow, this was, I had to give you your flowers for this, was when you had to cover, you know, the passing of Gaudreau, and you had to do it on WWE, and you did it so beautifully and with such grace. And I'm sure it was one of the hardest things you've ever had to do on TV. But I have to give you your flowers for that, because I will say, Jackie, like, my jaw was on the floor with how amazing you handled that, and just a testament to the WWE as well for the way they covered it. But if that was, I'm sure that was probably one of the hardest things you've had to do.
Yeah, it was really hard. And I'll say, when I put it together and I was like, oh, we're in Calgary, and obviously I'm so tied to the hockey world. And, I had met Johnny and his father. I spent quite a bit of time with his father actually a couple of years ago when we did this big feature on him for TNT. And so I just, I knew that the memorial was there. It had only been a little over a week since the tragedy happened. And I was like, I wonder if WWE would let me do something, even if it's not on the show, maybe something on digital. It just feels like we're there, like we're in the Saddle Dome, we're in his home. There's this massive memorial outside. It feels silly to me, even though it's not wrestling related, but it's location related, and I feel like almost disrespectful going in there and not acknowledging what the city and the fans there are going through. And, WWE, to their credit, was like, let's do it. Let's actually do something on the show and acknowledge, what's happening here. And so I give the company a lot of credit for giving me that rope and allowing me to do it, because, I don't think it's something that you see a lot on Monday Night Raw. Is definitely a different thing. But it was, from what I saw, very well received online. But yeah, it was super hard. I put a lot of pressure on myself that day, because I didn't want to say the wrong thing, and I wanted to be very aware of, the family and the wives and the people that are really hurting. So I hope that I did it justice. But yeah, it was sad. I mean, I was out there, and fans were obviously getting ready for the show, but I mean, parents had their kids out there, and kids are crying, and they've got their Dro jerseys on, and they're leaving like Skittles there. And it was really sad. But yeah, hopefully I did it justice, and I think that I did. But I'm really glad that WWE let me do it, because I think it was cathartic for me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you were phenomenal, honestly. And I do think it's one of those things where at the end of the day, no matter the sport, it's like the community. And for the WWE to allow that, because it was such a tragic thing that happened. And it shocked the world. It was something that was, everybody was talking about at the time. So it was just, I thought it was just super respectful, super classy. And like, obviously it's a different sport, but it almost doesn't matter, because athletes at the end of the day all support each other, and you're kind of all in together. So if I didn't mention that to you, that was one of those things where I was like, Jackie is honestly amazing at what you're doing, and people should, kind of take note on, it's not always fun and games, and sometimes you have to cover the hard stuff, and you have to kind of be able to do both. So this is me giving you your flowers for that, because I don't know.
Thank you.
Of course. But yes, so I know, sorry, I threw the emotional wrench in there, but I kind of had to do it. I wasn't even going to bring it up, but like, it was so good that I kind of had to talk about it. And
I appreciate it, honestly, because I don't pretend that I knew Johnny very well, but I did spend a decent amount of time with him when he first went to Columbus, and his whole family is so like nice and down to earth, and yeah, like my heart still breaks for them. It's awful what happened.
Yes, tragedy is tragedy no matter what. So it's like it was really, really bad. But I have to shift gears a little, because I could talk about this for a long time and we could just start crying. Hockey wise, who in the hockey world would you think would be good in the WWE? Because they don't get enough credit, I feel like, hockey players. It's always football players, right? They're always like, oh, football, make the transition over. There's got to be some that you're like, they would crush it.
Okay, so I have a few different answers for this.
Okay.
The first one I'll say is Pat Maroon, the big rig. He's just a big dude.
Yeah.
He's also really funny, and he's been, not caught, like he's worn the mic before during the games, and like we've seen him be able to. He has a good chirp game, which in hockey chirping is like trash talk. Like he would be good on the mic. I think like he can
Yeah.
really make you feel silly. I think I'm pretty sure it was him a few years ago. He did like the chicken wing
Oh my
dance
gosh.
to somebody. So for his personality and his size, I think
Yeah.
he would fit pretty good in WWE. And then Jordan Binnington, the goaltender for the Blues. So the reason I say him is because this guy has a knack for making people hate him. Like people hate him. Like I love him. He's a great competitor. He's super athletic, but he's been known to like throw a tantrum here and there. And it gets people so angry. Like people get so mad at this guy. And I'm like, he could really draw a lot of heat. Like this guy would really be able to create some heat for himself. So I'll say Jordan Binnington, which I've never seen anyone in hockey say this answer before to this question. I think I'm the first, but I think Jordan Binnington that man could stir up some heat for sure.
I mean, I would love to see it because, like I said, I think we're always like, oh, the football players, like the hockey players, I honestly think are some of the toughest athletes in the world.
They are the toughest.
Not the
they
toughest.
Are the toughest.
Yes.
They're
yes.
The toughest.
That's what I'm saying, though. Listen, I love a hockey player. I actually have said in the realm of dating athletes, I think hockey is the way to go. Honestly, I do. I think it's hockey. I've dated a couple hockey players, but it's just different because they're just rugged. You know what I mean? Because the seasons are long and then they're not shaving and they're just great, but they like knock the shit out of each other. Like going to a hockey game, I think is one of the most exciting sporting events ever, just because they're hitting each other. And it's just so exciting. I say there's nothing like hockey playoffs. Like I just think it's so exciting. But yeah, I think that we got to make the hockey transition, and I think you're the person to do it.
Okay.
So I think we gotta easily make the intros, bring it into, because there's a lot of obviously.
Listen, Pat McAfee got a match, former football player. Yes. Why can't a hockey player get a match at some point down the road? Who knows? We'll see. But CM Punk can try to help me make that happen. Maybe I don't know. Gonna say. He's a big hockey fan. So is Otis. Otis is a huge hockey fan. Jay is becoming one over time.
We have to talk about Jay because Jay's like your bestie. Like, is he, first of all, I was going to ask this anyway, but is he the person that's like the hardest to keep a straight face with when you're doing stuff on TV? Because he seems like he's hilarious. He makes me laugh out loud sometimes. And like the segments the two of you have had together, I die laughing. Like, is he the toughest one, or are there some other people that are shadily hilarious?
No, there's other people that are hilarious. Like Otis is pretty funny too, but I feel like I haven't interviewed Otis on camera that many times. But like Jay, for whatever reason, I've interviewed a lot, and he's just ridiculous. Like he's a ridiculous human, and I mean that in like the most complimentary way. But he's like all over the place. Sometimes he says things and I'm like, what? Like, what did you just say? I don't even understand like what you're saying to me. Or he'll say things that I don't catch in the moment, and then I'll see it back online and I'll be like, oh, I didn't even realize like that he said that. But he is a very I mean, Jimmy's pretty funny too. I mean, he's a little bit more serious because he's on a different path right now. But yeah, Jay, they're on different path. Well, they're on the same path right now.
I just like how you worded it.
They have different
He made a right turn and he made a left turn.
Yeah, and they have different auras at the moment. Like their auras are not in sync necessarily. But yeah, Jay is fucking hilarious. Like, am I allowed to swear? I don't know if I am.
Yes. But my show is called Gabby AF.
Okay, so perfect. Yeah, he's so funny. He's so funny. He's just good vibes. I think that's why we click, is like, I am that way. And when I first got there, he was one of the first people I interviewed where I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, it's just good vibes. It's whatever. No pressure. It's good.
Has there been any moments for you like on camera that you can just think off the top of your head where it didn't go as planned and you were like, oh, this was like one of those, like, one of those TV moments where you had to kind of think on your feet pretty quickly and it was almost a little scary?
The most obvious one, when we had the WrestleMania kickoff in Vegas last year, I know no one's going to believe me, but this is the God's honest truth. No one's going to believe me. They're going to think anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't care what people think.
Exactly.
So we were in Vegas for the WrestleMania kickoff, and, the show's happening, and I was there just to do some backstage reports and interviews and stuff. And the show's like half over. And my boss comes up to me and is like, hey, I think at the end, I think you're going to interview Hunter. You're going to interview Paul, Triple H Levesque at the end of this. When this is over, I think he's going to come out and do a quick interview just about how everything went. And I'm like, oh, okay. Kind of just like he's like, just put a bow on the event, get his thoughts. How did it go? Because it was our first one, right? It was our first press kickoff event, so to speak, with the crowd and everything. And so I was like, okay, easy peasy, no big deal. I had no idea that The Rock was going to interrupt said interview. Like that was my legitimate, did not know, thought I was literally just interviewing Hunter. Obviously things happened at the end of the press event that I had to ask Hunter about, which I did. So I knew I was doing all of that, but I had no idea that would happen. And I literally, like, if you watch the clip, like everyone's like, oh my gosh, Jackie sold that so good. I didn't sell shit. I didn't sell nothing. That's me reacting in real time to The Rock dropping F-bombs on our show and me being like, oh, what is going on right now? Like that was like a true, genuine in the moment reaction. So I don't know if people will believe that, but that's the truth. So I would have to say that's one. I didn't know what to do. I don't even, honestly, thinking about it now, I'd have to go watch it to actually even remember how I reacted in the moment. Cause I don't remember right now. I just remember being like, oh, you said the bad word. Like,
oh my God. That's incredible. Crazy. I guess if you're The Rock, you can kind of just do whatever you want. So it makes sense.
I just didn't see it coming. And then I was like, are Triple H and The Rock going to throw down right now? Like, what is happening?
Yes. That's crazy. Well, because you had the run in too with Drew McIntyre coming in wanting to fight on the live show as well. And you sold that good. I don't know. I'm guessing you knew about that one because you mentioned not knowing about The Rock. When Drew came on trying to fight Pierce, I'm
trying to remember because there's been a few. I feel like
you kind of get caught in the strings.
I do.
Yes.
A fight. Like if you see me on screen, get ready for a fight because it's probably happening. There's a few that I've had with Drew because he's a maniac. Is it the one where I was like, or not? I think I was trying to interview someone.
Yes.
And I was like, never mind, or I don't know what I said, but yeah,
it happens to a lot. It happens a lot. Even like with Becky, the one time when you were like, oh, blah, blah, and Becky like took the mic and just started walking. And you were like,
I know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I love Becky. So I'm like, okay, sure. But I kind of was just like, oh, she doesn't need me. That's, all right.
Okay. All right.
And like, let her do her thing.
Guess I'll go to catering and hang out.
Tell you one thing, I ain't stopping Becky Lynch from doing nothing.
No.
So yeah.
No.
But it's a fun job.
Yeah, I mean, but I love that for you. And like I said, I love that your personality is coming out like a lot more. It's not, it's such a different time where you're not the buttoned up, backstage interviewer where you're kind of robotic, just asking the questions and then just sitting back and like taking it, which is something that I love. And yeah, you've really cemented the name for yourself. I couldn't really imagine Raw without you at this point. And yes, I'm telling you, I'm not just lying. I think you are becoming like the person. You're doing the pre-shows, you're doing the you're doing a lot. You're doing the sit down exclusives, not to mention you have a YouTube show for hockey where you're doing the same thing in a different realm, like pickleball champion. You're kind of crushing it.
Pickleball champion. We'll see.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna see it happening this time. Like next time we speak, I'm gonna be like, how's pickleball going? You're gonna be like, Gabby.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll have some medals by then.
Yeah.
I have no medals right now.
You just started. Come on.
This is true.
Listen, people, something else I enjoyed you doing, and I know we're gonna wrap soon because I've been taking up too much of your time. I don't know if you even noticed my ring lights failed. Everything tech-wise that was supposed to be happening.
I did see a bit of a flicker and I was like, are the Wyatts with us? Are the Wyatts in the room?
Don't even talk that into existence, Jackie, because I don't like scary things and I don't need that kind of.
No, it's a little freaky, even just mentioning the Wyatt Six, isn't it?
It's a little scary. I mean, do you get scared backstage if something's just going to happen?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I do because I just never know what these people are gonna do. Like they're just even like stuff that's not on the show. Like just it is. I wish people could understand how wild it is back there. Like it's
Yeah.
so there's just always something happening, always things going on. You just head on a swivel, man. Head on a
Yeah.
swivel all the time.
Yeah. You have to
Yeah.
kind of just think on your feet, which is kind of an
And now
amazing
I'm like
thing.
I'm trying to encapsulate a little bit what it's like backstage by doing these little like Instagram reels that I do once in a while. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to annoy everyone too much, but I try every few weeks to like come up with some sort of non-wrestling related question and ask everyone the question.
Yeah.
And I find like that's my way to try to like peel back the curtain a little bit and show people what some of
Right.
these guys and gals are like back there. But yeah.
Well, you did that with the Taylor Swift thing. You asked like their favorite Taylor Swift song, but my favorite thing that you did was the Love Island questions
Oh,
because first of all, Jackie, I had no one to talk to about Love Island because I was like, am I on my own? Like, who am I going to talk to about these things? Like, do wrestlers
crazy
watch it?
season.
Literally, I was like, I just want to talk to Jackie about Love Island. I have nobody else to talk to about it. And nobody actually watched it when you were trying to bring it
So, so what happened was I went around, I started asking everyone, and almost everyone was like, no, I don't watch that. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, this has to be the video now because that's the joke. Because like me trying to
Yes.
find someone to talk Love Island with. But I did find it, and I meant to put out a part 2, but I just kind of lost track of life. So Kathy Kelly, my frenemy, Kathy Kelly, she watched Love Island. So I talked to her about it. Ref Bay, she watched Love Island. I don't know if you guys
Oh,
know who Ref Bay is. If you don't, go follow her because you definitely know her face. She watched, and then Liv started watching. Like I had already done the video, the season was over, like it was, and she kind of watched it later. And I was like, man, why didn't she? I would have loved to talk to Liv about Love
yes.
Island at the time, but I had already done the video, so it was but it turned out for the best. I asked Seth Rollins if he watched it. He, of course, did not. He actually was insulted that I even asked him, I think. I honestly think he was offended that I even asked the question. But he told me to watch a movie called Bottoms, which I still have not watched.
I've never
But
heard of that.
when I put that video out there, Gabby, the reaction to that clip alone, Seth, everyone's like, oh my God, Seth's the real one. Seth knows games. Seth knows game. Like Seth's got game. Like you got to watch
Oh my
Bottoms. Bottoms
gosh.
hilarious. So apparently it must be this like cult classic or something.
Okay.
So I got to watch it. It's on my list. But yeah, so many people saw that clip and were like, Seth's right. You have to watch Bottoms. It's so good. So
I love that I got picked up for the wrong reasons. Like nobody's like, "Oh my God, Jackie's so right. Love Island was so good." They're like, "No, Seth put her in her place and told her the real thing to watch."
Yeah,
Like,
literally. Oh,
I talked to Chelsea Green about it a little bit. She was like my only friend that I was like, "You watch Love Island, right?" And she was like, "Yes," because I think somewhere in the world, Chelsea Green would be a phenomenal host for like a Love Island because she's just
totally.
one of the most entertaining people ever. But I do think there's a place on the next season of Love Island for a WWE wrestler. I do believe it.
My gosh.
The entertainment of those. Well, because Love Island is like a competition. Like I could never do it. I'm single. You could not put me on that show and have me like not like you're literally making out with a different person every day. You're interested in this person, but they're gonna try with other people too, and then you like have to not get jealous. It's absurd. If you guys don't watch it, which they probably don't, anybody of my friends listening,
You'd be surprised.
I don't know. It's just like one of those trash shows where it's like, oh, better them than me because like I couldn't do it because my whole life is dating in Hoboken, as you know. It should be its own competition series. But anyway, but yeah, so like it was one of those things where I'm like, there's so many. I wish we could bring that shows like Total Diva. There's so many reality things that I think, especially now in the WWE, because there's so many people knowing what's going on in pop culture and just the entertainment wise of it, like I think it would do even better. But I know it was sad. You put that out and I was like, I have to talk to Jackie about this on my show because I don't have anyone to talk to.
I've never watched Love Island, but I watched that season and I was so invested. Oh my God. They were so mean to Leah. They were so mean to her.
Dude,
everyone.
Leah's such a queen. Leah's such a queen. She needs to come on. In some way needs to be doing wrestling because I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah, I was when she came out and was so popular. I was so happy. I was like,
ha. Well, because people don't realize they're on this show for so long and they don't get to like socialize with the outside world because they don't have their phones. So they're just filming this stuff. And like, could you imagine just filming even like Raw for like months on end, but you don't get to see the reactions of people on social media? Like, so you don't know if they're going to love you or hate you or like what, even though they do that now anyway. Sorry, I'm talking about Love Island too much.
No, you're not. You're not. I love Love Island and I love Leah.
Okay, we're gonna have to wrap soon because I feel bad and I could talk to you for 2 hours. It's already been almost an hour and I told you I wasn't gonna keep you this long. But I'm so literally everything that could have gone wrong tech-wise for me today has gone wrong, but I'm so happy that this happened.
Only the Wyatt 6, honestly. I didn't notice anything else.
Honestly, yeah. Everyone, if I don't text you back later, it's because they got me. So just call for me. But last question.
Okay.
Just because I like to wrap with these kinds of things. So like for you, obviously you're doing it all right now. You're juggling you have your, like I said, your YouTube show, the Jackie Redmond show for NHL, and you're obviously doing everything with WWE. What's your, like, what do you want to end when you're done with your career, hanging it up? Like, do you want it to be ultimately hockey? Do you want to continue doing both? Like, are you happy with what you're doing now? Or is it one or the other? Obviously, clearly you're happy now, but like kind of when you look to the future.
I'm very happy now. I will say like hockey was always the goal. Like that was always when I started this journey. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's
no, it's fine.
Work phone. It's not going to stop ringing.
It's the bat phone.
It is. It's not supposed to ring this time of year. But anyways,
do you want me to wait
till it's done? Do you want me to wait till it's done?
Yeah,
I'll explain to you why after. It'll be done in a second.
We can cut it. That's fine. I was gonna cut it to like get a new ring light because I didn't know if I looked too dark.
You don't look dark to me, but I also have a light shining in my face, so I can't really tell.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay, are you done? Are you done? Okay, you're done.
I hope it rings again. That would be hilarious.
Oh my gosh. It's the Wrangle phone. If you know, you know. Okay. I'm super happy now, but like hockey was always my goal, right? When I first started on this journey of trying to work in sports, it was always about hockey. It wasn't always about being on camera, but it was always like marketing, PR, on camera, reporting. Like I just need to work in hockey because that's where I feel the most confident, the most comfortable. Like I truly grew up in hockey ranks. So once I got into the hockey world and I hosted a 2-hour hockey show and I started doing games, it really became a daunting question because I was like, wait, I never thought about what happens after I get here. Like I never really thought about that. And so in a lot of ways, the WWE came knocking on my door, honestly, out of nowhere. Like I didn't apply. I didn't do anything. It just, I got a call one day and heard they were interested in maybe talking to me. And it kind of was like this really great blessing because I wasn't really sure, like, am I just going to keep doing the same thing forever or can I add? And adding WWE to my life has been such a blessing. It's been such an amazing challenge in a lot of ways. It's something new. It's very different than covering hockey. So I've really enjoyed it. As for what I hope my ultimate goal is, like I have always said, I just want to see how far I can go. Like, what am I capable of? How can I push myself to more? And so for me, it's just about continuing to climb the next mountain. And I'm never going to leave hockey. It has my heart forever. If I leave hockey, it'll be because I'm leaving everything, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm always going to want to be in hockey. I would love to one day, do something, either on Hockey Night in Canada, which is like the pinnacle in Canada for hockey coverage, or do a little bit more studio hosting within the actual games, if that makes sense. But Olympics is on my list. Like I have to cover hockey at the Olympics at some point in my life. Please, Lord, help me make it happen. And then for wrestling, like I said, like I didn't seek it out, and I don't mean that as like a negative thing. It just I wasn't looking for it. It kind of found me. And I think the universe works in mysterious ways. And I think I needed it. I needed that sort of like spark. And so now I'm kind of like, well, what can I do in WWE? I'm doing the countdown shows, which I love, the sit down interviews, which I love, but I do think there's probably room to grow and push myself to do more. And so I'm trying to figure out what that is, but I'm very happy with where I'm at. But I hope I can stick around in WWE for a little bit longer. Hopefully, if the fans will have me.
Yes, I will speak for the fans that we would love to keep you around as long as you can be around, because like I said, I think you're literally phenomenal at everything that you're doing. And, you're going to be now the next person that, young girls that want to kind of get in this. I think you're a very good role model for, working hard and putting in the experience and the work and, taking advantage of the opportunities that you're given. And you're just insanely good at what you do. So I'm not just saying that because you're on my show.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Honestly, you're like actually the sweetest.
No one says that about me, by the way. So
oh well, I am. So that's because no one thinks anyone's sweet in Jersey.
But it's true. Well, because we bite a little bit, but normally we're nice first. So
see, it's so funny because, and I'm not meaning to go on this tangent, but as a Canadian, when I first moved to Jersey, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Canadian. You must be so nice. You're so nice. You're so nice." And I always correct people and I say, Canadians aren't nice. They're polite. There is a difference.
Yes.
And people always say New Yorkers, and what do you say, New Jerseyers? Jersey.
Yeah, and Jerseyans, I guess.
Jerseyans. Anyways, New Yorkers and people from Jersey are like mean or like rude or whatever. And I actually completely disagree. I just think New Yorkers and people from New Jersey are honest. Yes. Not everyone likes that.
Right. See, you get it, Jackie.
Not everyone can handle the truth. Not everyone can handle the truth.
It's the realness. You know what I mean? We're just real.
Yes, that's exactly it. Whereas Canadians are polite, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's not always real. Being polite is not always real.
Yeah. I would rather you tell me I suck at something or you don't like me than like pretend. Do you know, like the fakeness? I'm not a fan of the artificial shit. Which, now I curse. I usually curse way more, by the way. I've been very good on this interview. So
I took care of it for you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you seriously so much. I'm so glad we made this happen. Tech issues aside and Wyatt Six showing up. I think it was a great time. And I absolutely loved speaking with you. Hopefully next time it will be in person or we can have some pizza or hang out and have a good time. But thank you so much for making the time for me. And I'm excited to see what 2025 will bring for you, Jackie.
Thank you so much. I honestly had so much fun chatting. So we can do round 2 whenever you want.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe not whenever you want because my schedule sucks. But
I was just going to say,
we can fit it in.
My schedule's a little bit more flexible than yours, so don't be telling me that. I'm gonna be like, oh, once a week with Jackie every single week on Gabby AF.
Recurring role.
She said it, not me. Thank you so much again. To everybody listening, go follow Jackie on everything. If you don't watch hockey, watch it because Jackie covers it and it's amazing. And I love you all so much. Until we meet next week, LYMNB, love you most, no backs.